Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 nerds, by nerds, hanging out with Ted.
How you doing?
And today we want to talk about long rest, short rest, and random encounters in D&D.
All right, so now, before we get into that, though, jump down to the description below, sign up for the newsletter. It's a great way to get tips delivered straight to your inbox, as well as learn how to game with us.
So I feel like, with 3rd edition, like, the game has really gone away from random encounters. I mean, there's a lot of DMs that just put it back in.
Right.
Because they feel like it belongs there. And the other thing, too, is... a random encounter should be just that. It should be random. Should be a creature that could possibly show up in that region or area, not specifically of a CR you can handle.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something as easy as, a pushover encounter, all the way to something that is, like, fatally deadly, like you have no chance of survival. If you go toe-to-toe with it, someone's dying before you guys run away or you're all dead.
Right, like you're a 3rd level party and like the ground begins to kind of shake a little bit and you see the tops of trees swaying. The rogue goes, investigates, and goes, oh crap, there's 10 giants coming. And like
one giant is death. 10 of them.
Yeah, like, and I don't think and like, as a DM, unless you're being a dick, and I don't think it has spotted us yet, we should probably hightail it out of here,
right.
Let's hide, or something along those lines, and that's fine, because now again, if your players attack it, then they're going to die, but that's fine. They had the option to run away or hide instead, but it just shows up, it happens, it can disrupt their rest. And then they'll have to start over or whatever. But it also makes you. It also adds to the world and makes it feel like a more living, breathing place.
Absolutely. Now, the other thing about the random encounters that you want to take into consideration is it doesn't necessarily have to be a combat situation.
Right. I was going to say that as well. Like, it could be a merchant that has stuff to sell you.
It could be someone that's just traveling. It could lead into a quest hook. Like, it could be somebody who is literally running for their life because it's they encountered something that...
The caravan got attacked, the village got attacked, their wife was kidnapped, the husband's missing, whatever, and so it could literally be something that actually doesn't even disrupt the rest cycle, right, as well. Mm-hmm. So... I feel like, in my game, I've gotten away from doing random encounters the way I should, and essentially, in one of our comments, I seen someone talking about it and how they do it, and it was really, their method was decent. For a short rest in a dungeon, it was like every 30 minutes they would check for a random encounter, as it should be. Dungeons are more dangerous, more likely to come across things. Mm-hmm. In the wilderness, it was like, maybe once during a short rest. And then traditionally, what I've done in the past is during a long rest, but we didn't call it that back then. It was just camping overnight. Yeah. It was, there would be basically 3 checks, or you might even do 1 per watch to see if a random encounter happens. Right. And again, it doesn't have to be a fight, and it doesn't even have to be a role-playing encounter too. It could be more of an exploration encounter where something's happening. Like I've done things where it's just a rustling in the bush, and it turns out to be like rabbits or something.
Mm-hmm.
You players on their toes.
You could have something where like there are times that people are going to do a long rest or an overnight camp during the day due to whatever circumstances. So while a watch is happening, something could catch the person on the watch's eye, and it could just be there's a glint 30, 40, 50 feet away, and do you want to explore it, or do you want to let it see what happens? And it could be a thing that, oh, look at this, you've actually stumbled upon dropped treasure or something, and
dropped treasure or a broken glass that's reflecting the sunlight.
Right. A coin that's just it's a copper, but
I guess especially in 3rd edition, it was like famous for this. You would heal X amount of hit points per day of just regular, and then if it was like nothing but rest, it was double that. Right. And then if you had someone make a check, it was like double it again or something.
I think it was times 3, but
yeah. So like you would end up with the party going like, oh, we're really beat up, we need our spells, blah blah blah. We're gonna like make camp for a week. Depending on party composition and stuff like that. I think in 5th edition, they kind of fix it in the sense that you're not going to get that, because if you get beat up, like the next day you're healed to full, your hit points are back or restored, and I know there's different people that feel differently about it, and that has I think that has more to do with what they think hit points means,
right,
than what what the game is actually saying,
right. Well, that's a whole video in and of itself.
Yeah, it's a different conversation.
But
but what I'm saying is, the point is, in one sense, it eliminates you like camping for a week in the woods just trying to heal,
right,
and delaying this time sensitive quest that you're supposed to be on or whatever.
Right.
And the other problem with that too is, of course, if you have random encounters during that week, it's going to mess up your rest as well.
Exactly.
And depending on how bad your DM just wants you to get back on track and going, or he wants to mess with you, is going to determine that. So bring it right back around.
So, my opinion about the random encounters during rest and this and that is, number one, we game time interval less. We used to start gaming around 6, stop gaming around 2, 3, sometimes 4 in the morning.
6 in the morning. Sunlight was coming up.
That's happened a few times. It wasn't a standard, but it did happen. And this was one of those things that we got used to. Additionally, we would run a different style campaign where, as an adventurer, we were never tied to a locale. We would just go through and explore the world and run wherever the quest took us, and we were constantly adventuring, as opposed to the, I'm going to take a break because I'm researching something, or I'm going to take a break because I'm crafting something. Now we take a break because people have lives and things that are going on, or there's nothing to actually quest for right now. Most of the people in our campaigns live and work and dwell within the city.
They have jobs.
So it's all right, off you go every once in a while when the quest happens. And sometimes it's run, and you go from one adventure to the next. Other times there's 3, 6 months, a year in between what actually happens.
Well, yeah. So now we're also giving more downtime stuff for the characters to do, as well as they actually can train, where before everything was we just said it was on the job training.
And the reason I bring up these two things is because when you have the way I'm most of the time running is every session is a loop. It's usually starting in Griffin Gaff, ending in Griffin Gaff, and the actual play time is shorter. There's only so much time for combat. There's only so much time for things going on. So if the party's not really feel beat up enough that they're going to rest, what's going to drive the thing going on? And, I ran one session that there was literally a 2-week journey and there was one combat. And, old school style, that
every day there should have been checks for random encounters.
There should have been 3 to 5 encounters based on odds.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. You guys fought a belay and that was about it. And it was wow.
Well, you bring up, and that was a planned encounter, not a random encounter.
Exactly.
You do bring up a good point. Because of the way we game, and I really don't know how you guys are gaming, what your sessions look like, but ours they're only 3 to 4 hours long, as opposed to, like you said, we used to game for 8 to 12 hours. Right. It is about the window we would game in. So that has changed a lot, and we're running 3 or 4 campaigns at the same time. So that game only happens once a month. So the way we game has changed a lot, and I guess you're right. Where part of me wants to go back to doing this old school way of doing it, but it creates the problem of, time, time in the game or out of the game.
Yeah. So how do you guys handle encounters in your game, or random encounters during rests? Put your thoughts and comments down below. While you're at it, like, share, even subscribe.
You can hang out with us over on Twitter.
So until next time, Stay nerdy.